Hello, California Democrats. Happy to see all of you here. Well, see your names and um, all your shout outs to where you're from. I saw people from Santa Cruz, from San Diego, from San Clemente, I think. I was trying to keep the Sands going, but I saw people from all over the state. Thank you for being here. Um, Let us begin. My name is Vincent Jones. For those of you who don't know me, I am a training director and senior advisor for the California Democratic Party. My pronouns are he, him, and I'll be your host for this orientation. Um, I'd be remiss if I did not give a big shout out to our training department intern, Caleb Johnson, who talked to several members of our team and put together this training and the script that I'm actually using tonight. So our party believes in developing leaders, and you're going to be experiencing a part of what that looks like. So today's webinar is all about the upcoming Assembly District Elections meetings, also known as ADEMs, where you can run to become one of your community's Assembly District delegates to the California Democratic Party. This is an incredible opportunity for you to increase your political impact, build community with passionate and diverse California Democrats, and take on greater responsibility as a voice for your local district. By the end of this webinar, you will learn three things. First, what are ADEMs? Second, how to become an Assembly District delegate. And third, what are the responsibilities and privileges of being an Assembly District delegate? To help us achieve these goals, we have a few trusted friends, like our Avengers, to give us the inside scoop on everything we need to know. We'll hear from our amazing executive director, Yvette Martinez, Deepa Sharma, the chair of the ADEM AAPI caucus, Christopher Serrani, co-chair of the ADEM Finance Committee, and our the amazing Andrea Guzman, who's our Southern California organizing manager for ADEM. But let's get started. Let's get right into it. First up, we're honored to have Yvette Martinez. Again, she's the executive director of the California Democratic Party. She is here tonight to help us connect this ADEM candidate orientation to our ongoing work of building a better California for all. Yvette, the floor is yours.
Thank you all so much. Great to see so many, over 200 people on this training and orientation. I really appreciate it. Hey everyone, I'm really excited to be here tonight. Our team is really tired, as you can imagine. We are still out there curing ballots and dealing with a lot of late ballot drops, and we're monitoring all of it right now. But thank you to our training department for hosting this. My name is Yvette Martinez. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the executive director of the largest party in the nation. I want to first begin by saying thank you. Thank you to all of you who are with us tonight. Thank you for taking this step, for working to educate yourself and preparing yourself to represent and serve your community as a delegate to the party. As we all know, we're still sort of experiencing a crazy midterm election where we really outworked and outorganized in a lot of campaigns. So proud that we are, celebrating in many ways. We were on Saturday at our executive board meeting. We're going to talk about some of the wins of this election season. But I know none of this work is possible without all of you, without our incredible delegates from California, from every corner of our state. I want to really kind of just talk about the future and what it means to be a delegate. This past cycle, we really invested heavily in our organizing department and our organizing team, our forever organizing team. Usually the party, puts organizers on for a short term and lets them go after the campaign. This year, we really are doing long-term investment in organizing to keep our organizers on the ground and in the communities in the off seasons to continue to build and grow our campaign work and our work in the community. We also invested in a full-time youth vote manager and had paid fellows throughout the state at college campuses who did organizing, tabling, hosted rallies, etc. And that really went a long way. And we actually learned a lot. And our youth vote program is another area where we're going to continue to grow. So I just want to say thank you to all who participated in our midterm elections, because there are so many issues at stake. No matter what the cause or what the issue brings you to this party, you are needed, you are respected, and we need you to continue working with us and building with us as we look towards 2024. It's going to be, a presidential election year, and so we need our activists to stay with us. I wanted to, let's see, a couple of other things I wanted to mention. For you as delegates, this is a place and an opportunity for you to sharpen your skills as a political activist. In your role as a delegate, you have the potential and the possibility to increase your political impact in the community by participating in some of our training and organizing workshops, to continue building in your capacity as delegates in your district to stand up and represent your community. We really want to see more of that. We want to encourage people to run for local offices. We had a trial contest every race program this year where we invested in local campaigns, and we want to continue building on that and to really build a bench for our future elected assembly seats, Senate seats, congressional seats, etc. So investing in local folks to run for office is very important to us. And all of this requires really just rolling up our sleeves and getting the work done and learning from our sort of trial campaign boot camps that we want to do, trainings for candidates, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to thank the grassroots from our party for stepping up tonight, learning more. And our team will be going over some of the delegate responsibilities. But I just wanted to say thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm really looking forward to a new batch of delegates for 2023. I wish everyone the best of luck as you run campaigns to become a delegate. It's a very exciting time for our state and our nation to continue leading a blue wave and to really make our state not just blue and brighter, but really work on the issues that make us Democrats, issues of equity and democracy and protecting reproductive freedom for all, protecting our environment. We need all of you to be leaders on these issues and to bring new issues to the forefront on behalf of your community. So thank you again for joining us tonight, and I'm looking forward to this training. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. That is why everyone is here today, to really connect your vision to our party's mission, which is the thing that Yvette said, like protecting a woman's right to choose, protecting our environment, and so much more. So let's keep going. I want to hope you're inspired and ready to go, because now we're going to get to the specifics. First, I want to, excuse me, I'm sorry. I want to get into specifics about like what are the ADEMs, how you can become a delegate. To help us answer these questions and more, I'm pleased to introduce an incredible leader who puts purpose before position, makes space for young members of her caucus, let their leadership shine, and is always ready to roll up her sleeves and get to work. ADEM AAPI Caucus Chair, Deepa Sharma. Hey, Deepa.
Hi, Vincent. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here with all of our, current delegates and aspiring delegates. I was, I joined the party as a delegate back in 2009, so I'm really excited to be here.
I have to say, I was a delegate once too, for a few years. It's a very exciting experience. I ran once and I was appointed, but it's a part of the democratic process that people don't talk about much, but it's a very important part. And I'm glad people are here tonight. So, Deep, I'm going to ask you a few questions, help us to better understand the ADEMs, delegates, and all that entails. My first question for you, what are the Assembly District Election Meetings, or ADEMs?
So the Assembly District Elections Meetings, or ADEMs, are local Democratic Party elections. These elections are held every 2 years in January. The ADEMs are held in each assembly district to select the assembly district delegates and the executive board representative. And the people that are selected will end up representing the assembly district as part of the California Democratic State Central Committee, or DSCC. During the ADEMs, each of the AD assembly districts elect 14 delegates. 7 are self-identified females and 7 are other than self-identified females. So we maintain parity in our party, which is incredibly important. One of these 14 assembly district delegates will also be elected to represent the assembly district on the Democratic State Central Committee's executive board. And once elected, these delegates begin their 2-year terms in May at the California Democratic Party State Convention.
And so I know you mentioned the DSCC. What is that?
So the DSCC, or the Democratic State Central Committee, is the governing body of the California Democratic Party and is composed of approximately 3,500 delegates. These delegates come from 3 groups in roughly equal proportions. So about 1/3 of delegates are appointed by party leadership and Democratic elected officials like Congress members and state legislators. Another 1/3 of the delegates are elected through the county central committees. And here's where folks who are applying through the ADEM process come in. 1/3 of the delegates are elected at these assembly district elections. And so with 14 assembly district delegates coming from each of the 80 assembly districts, 1,120 assembly district delegate positions are open. So which means that there are lots of opportunities to get involved in our Democratic Party.
And as people have been putting in the chat, with Trump announcing that he's going to run for office again, it's definitely going to need for people to be involved to make sure that we can continue to protect our democracy and make sure that the Orange Menace does not get back. I went off script, but I'm sure you'll indulge. But so what does it actually mean to be, or what does an assembly district delegate do within a DSCC?
Well, that's a really good question. So the delegates are privileged to represent their communities at the state convention where they vote and conduct party business. And so that means being actively involved in our state, like developing our state party platforms. So if you're interested in, like the issues that we all talked about, that Yvette talked about, climate, reproductive justice, the party platform is a chance to weigh in on those policies. And then we also elect party officers, like our party chair, our vice chairs, secretary, and controller. We elect caucus leaderships and then we also elect regional directors who function as liaisons between the California Democratic Party, the County Central Committee, and Democratic clubs. And we also endorse ballot propositions, legislation. We take stances through the resolutions process, and we take positions on electoral candidates.
So delegates have a vital role in representing their community within a party, it seems.
Yes, but the role of a delegate doesn't end after convention. As you got mentioned, delegates have the honor of local leadership, and delegates are expected to be actively involved in the Democratic Party's grassroots party building functions like grassroots fundraising, advocacy, organizing efforts to ensure we elect more Democrats. And so this is really it's not a once a year thing. This is an ongoing commitment.
And who can run to be a delegate in ADEMs?
So to run for Assembly District Delegate, you must be a registered Democrat and registered to vote in the Assembly District. You have to submit your name to the California Democratic Party at least 30 calendar days before the ADEMs. You also have to pay a $40 candidate filing fee to the party. And you also have to write a 1,200 character statement explaining why people should vote for you.
And so I'm glad we have expanded that process. But so there's I'm sorry, there's another question that I have is what about, or I believe we have expanded the process to include undocumented Californians or DACA recipients. Is that true? Can you discuss that more?
Yes, absolutely. So our party is very inclusive, and I'm really proud that this year the ADEMs expanded the process to include our fellow undocumented Californians. And if you're legally barred from registering to vote and unable to be a registered Democrat on that basis, you can still run in the ADEMs, vote in the ADEMs, and have other registered Democrats vouch for you.
And what about voting? Because once somebody decides to run, they have to get people to vote for them. Who can vote in the ADEMs?
Any registered Democrat residing in and registered to vote in the Assembly District can vote in the ADEMs. So in order to participate, voters must register to vote in the ADEMs on the official website. And after they register, they will receive a unique voter PIN, which will be used to cast their ballot. And it is recommended that participants verify their voter registration online through the Secretary of State's website, since your ADEM registration must actually match your voter registration.
So to make sure, so people they should make sure they're registered to vote in their ADEMs on the website adem.cadem.org, adem.cadem.org, adem.cadem.org. It's saying it a few times. Make sure people know where to go. That's where you register, you get a unique voter PIN, and that's where they use to cast their ballot. Crystal clear. So earlier you mentioned that one of the Assembly District delegates will be elected to serve on the executive board. What are the responsibilities of an executive board member?
Well, I have the pleasure of serving on the executive board, and I can tell you that the executive board members have all of the same duties as other assembly delegates, plus greater responsibilities throughout the year. And so while the DSCC only meets once a year at the state convention, the executive board meets at least 2 additional times during the year. During these events, the executive board attends standing committee and caucus meetings and elects members to the Democratic National Committee during the presidential election years.
And how can someone become an executive board member?
Executive board members are elected during ADEMs just like other delegates. So if you'd like to represent your district on the executive board, you must mark that choice on your candidacy application. Then when the final votes are tallied, the highest vote getter who also opted into the executive board election will win the position.
Got you. So what are, this sounds like an incredible opportunity, but what are I'm sure it's not free. What are the costs associated with being a delegate?
Well, you're absolutely right. Before becoming a delegate, I think it's really important for everyone to know that this is a volunteer position and there are expenses associated with the role. Those expenses are, for example, our delegate dues. We pay $60 to attend. And then we have a convention registration, which is $90 for pre-registration, or if you're late, it's $130 on site. Seniors and students have a discounted rate of $45 for pre-registration or $85 on site. There are also observer credentials, which allow you to bring a spouse or a significant other. Those cost $65 for pre-registration and they're $115 on site. I think probably a really significant expense though are accommodations because the party likes to hold our convention meetings and our e-board meetings, different places throughout the state. We have to travel to them, and that's a part of our organizing work, right? But so that means we do have to pay for our own travel, our meals, and make sure that we're staying in a union hotel, of course. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, the convention was held virtually, but I gather that the delegates will have to travel, and as we'll be resuming our activities in person. And so depending on how far you are from the location and your travel preferences, these costs can vary, but can run over $1,000 pretty easily. And if you're an executive member, so those are more meetings to attend. So you have to factor that in to your travel and accommodation costs. So I would expect to budget about $2,000 to $2,500 for the annual costs of being a delegate, and executive board members should maybe expect to pay more, maybe about $3,000 annually to attend the additional meetings. And so cost is an issue.
Indeed. Well, thank you, Deepa, for teaching us a little bit about the ADEMs and what it means to be a delegate, and for sharing some of your personal insight into the issue.
Of course. I hope to see you.
All right. Thank you. And then for more information, again, register for ADEMs, go to adem.cadem.org, adem.cadem.org. You will definitely hear me say that several times. And I know people are asking questions in the chat. Please put them in the Q&A box. I know a lot of the questions can also be answered at adem.cadem.org. So for example, Dana, your question about the e-board responsibilities, that can be found at the adem.cadem.org. Okay, so let's go on to, I'm gonna do a little review to make sure people are paying attention. We're gonna play a little game. I know you played it. It's called Two Truths and a Lie. Are you ready to play Two Truths and a Lie? Here's how you play. I'll present a slide that has 3 statements. 2 of them are true and 1 is a lie. I will read each statement, then you decide which one is false. Then click A, B, or C in the Zoom poll to lock in your answer. So now I feel like Regis Philbin, and let's play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? No, let's play Two Truths and a Lie. Round 1, which one is false? A, the ADEMs are elections held every 2 years to select the Assembly District delegates. B, the polls jumped in front of me. B, any registered California voter can participate in the ADEMs. C, Assembly District delegates vote on the official California Democratic State Party platform. So take a second to lock in your answer, clicking A, B, or C in the Zoom poll for which one is false. Bloop. So if you said B, that was correct. You were correct, but that was the wrong answer. Any registered California voter cannot participate in the ADEMs. You have to be a Democrat, or you have to be vouched for as being a Democrat to be able to vote in our ADEM elections. Okay. So now Let me just close this here. Okay, now let's try one more, and then we'll get back to the training. The next one, which one of these is false? As the Assembly District Delegate's role is strictly limiting to voting at the annual California Democratic Party State Convention. B, the Assembly District Delegate is a volunteer role with associated expenses. Or C, undocumented Californians can run for Assembly District Delegate. And the correct answer is A, that the delegate's role is not strictly limited to voting at the annual state convention. I'm glad you got that loud and clear. That's a big message you want to convey in this training, that the role of a delegate is much more than just voting at convention. It's about being a critical part of our party's efforts to really take back our country. Okay, so let's keep going. Next, we have Andrea Guzman. She's CADEM's organizing manager for Southern California. She will explain some of the broader responsibilities Assembly delegates have beyond the annual convention. Specifically, she will help us understand how delegates are local advocates and organizers. Take it away, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Vincent. And as Vincent said, my name is Andrea Guzman. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Southern Organizing Manager for the California Democratic Party. So I'm here today to talk to you how you as a delegate play an essential part in the year-round efforts as a local advocate and an organizer, right? Yvette said before that we are investing in a lot in this organizing department because there's a lot of work that we need to do to make sure that we elect Democrats. And so you as a delegate, you as an ADEM, you would really be the front line to make sure that we get the work done and that we do the work that we need to get done to elect Democrats. So there's a lot of responsibilities that go into being an assembly delegate that go beyond convention. And like I said, you as delegates are the front line and convention is only the beginning. So assembly delegates are positioned to be effective local advocates who leverage their voice in the party on behalf of the community that they serve, right? Outside of the party convention, however, delegates should get involved with party committees to endorse legislation, pass resolutions, and help build a more inclusive party. Delegates should also leverage their influence, however, by supporting local caucuses and clubs and providing an important avenue to engage with the activated Democrats in their community. So in this role, you as the delegate can act like a bridge between the local organizing efforts and then the statewide parties organizing efforts. So you really are the bridge here between what happens at home and what we do statewide, and that would be your responsibility as a delegate. Now, every assembly district delegate will also serve their community during a major election, and it is needed to ensure that our organizing efforts meet the moment. So all of the future delegates who will be elected in 2023 will have the honor to serve their community leading up to and during the 2024 general election. Now, that is a big one, right? It is a presidential election. So this is an all hands on deck moment, which means that we as a party will need you to be involved as we build the grassroots movement to contest every race up and down the state and up and down the ballot. So this role really, really is going to go beyond convention, right? We know that the toughest races are not won on election day, right? They are won in the months, in the years of voter engagement that we do before the ballots drop. So that's why it's real, like your involvement as a district delegate is needed as we support the leaders, the grassroots leaders that are located up and down the state to make sure that we get an electoral victory. So to be in the California Democratic Party's organizing efforts, all assembly district delegates will be asked to plug in with their local regional organizing councils, or ROCs, as we like to call them in the organizing department. ROCs are the local building blocks of our organizing efforts because they provide the platform for collaboration between campaigns, coalition partners, and party committees as we work, as we do the work that is necessary to get Democrats elected and pass life-changing legislation as we have been doing for the past 2 years, right? So by getting involved with your local regional organizing council, one of the ways, by the way, you will be connected to high priority programs that will help us turn out the vote. So like I mentioned, you really are the front lines. You are a delegate, you are connected to these regional organizing councils. You are the first to know what is needed on the ground, and you are there to mobilize your community. So through these rocks, you will also get access to training and support that is needed to mobilize your local base and get them involved in the essential organizing activities like the phone banking and canvassing that we did or that we have been doing so consistently. So to sum it all up, as a district assembly delegate, you have the honor of representing your local community and the expectations of really being a local leader and showing up for our Democrats. Convention is truly only the beginning, as folks have mentioned on this call. Yeah, that is all. Thank you.
All right, I was too busy there trying to answer some questions in the Q&A. Thank you so much again, Andrea, and for all you and your team do to keep us forever organizing. Let's show Andrea some more love in the chat. I saw people were giving her shout outs when she started. Let's give her some more love for all the great work that she does. And let's keep it going. For our last conversation for tonight, we're going to turn to Christopher Siriani, who will help us to learn how Assembly District delegates are grassroots fundraisers to empower our movement. So without further ado, let me turn the floor over to Christopher.
Thanks so much, Vincent. And as Vincent said, I'm here to talk about how you as a delegate are an essential part of our fundraising efforts here at the California Democratic Party. And this is something that I'm extremely passionate about. This is my second term as an ADEM, and I represent AD 12, and my pronouns are he and him. As a party, we're all up in our game to fight for the soul of this nation, and you as future delegates are a big part of this. As delegate to the California Democratic Party, you understand the importance of the work we do to organize, train, and support grassroots campaigns up and down the ballot. But to advance progressive causes and to help Democrats win campaigns, we need resources to fund our efforts. Anyone who's been involved in campaigns knows they're not cheap. Our goal is to build a party powered by grassroots support, and that means asking our party leaders like yourself to step up and become part of the California Democratic Party's financial future. As an Assembly District delegate, there are 3 primary ways for you to get involved. First, as Deepa covered earlier, is delegates are responsible for paying mandatory party dues and convention costs. While they are expensive, there are multiple ways I've seen a lot of communities get together and raise funds for those that are not able to cover their own costs. So their fundraisers are done in fun ways to do that. So our expectation is that delegates are required to cover their share of the costs. The next level of involvement is to join the DEM 2022, which is our monthly donor program. As delegates, we donate every month. And you may, if for those that are already delegates, you may have received calls from myself or other members of the Finance Committee asking you to join the DEM 2022 program. Check out this video about the DEM 2022 and hear from our delegates just like you about why DEM 2022 is so vital to our cause.
years ago, I told the Democratic Party not to take money from corporations that hurt people, do not pay or treat their workers fairly, and do not abide by our CDP platform. John Lewis spoke of good trouble. We must think of good money. I was challenged to raise $100,000, so I vowed to bake challahs and sell them off to supply good money. I joined the Finance Committee to help raise good money. And if every one of us, the 3,500 delegates, gave $20 to DEM 2022 monthly, the party would raise $840,000. And if each of us found 5 Democrats to do it also, we could raise $4,200,000. We don't need corporations to fund our party. We are the party. We can make the difference.
Hello, Democrats. My name is George Perez Velez, and I'm reaching out on behalf of our California Democratic Party in asking you to become a donor in our DEM 2022 program. DEM 2020 members like myself raised over $134,000 in small dollar contributions. Your support of at least $7 a month helps with voter outreach, which includes 700 text messages to young voters and 52 phone calls to California voters, among many other efforts. Join me in adding a financial commitment to your strong progressive advocacy. Let's make every race a competitive one. Sí se puede.
I am Patrice Marshall McKenzie, and I live in Pasadena. I donate to DEM 22 because I know that small dollars have a big impact. My monthly donation is building the bench for 2022 and beyond. Right now, I am investing in registering, training, organizing, mobilizing, and ultimately electing more Democrats statewide. Join me and invest in California's future today.
Wow. I just love what Delegate Henny Kelly said. John Lewis spoke of good trouble, we must think of good money. How true is that? With $7 monthly minimum donation, you can be part of that good money. For less than the cost of a monthly Netflix subscription, you will help mobilize our grassroots efforts to elect more Democrats and fight for the soul of this nation. $7 a month pays for 700 text messages. $10 a month pays for 20 postcards. $15 a month pays for 108 phone calls. These small dollar donations matter when we as delegates stand together. And if anyone has been paying attention to some of the local races, so our candidates are winning in some cases by 15 or 20 votes. So those 20 extra phone calls or 20 postcards are sent do make a difference in getting a Democrat elected. Beyond being part of this incredible work, DEM 2022 participants will also receive exclusive benefits like a quarterly newsletter, special events, and a commemorative pin. And now our highest level of fundraising involvement for Assembly District delegates is to become a trail raiser. Trail raisers are delegates who pledge to raise $1,000, $2,500, or $5,000 for the California Democratic Party in grassroots donations during their two-year term. Trail raisers understand that organizing is a group effort, so they actively build a local base of financial support within their community. Check out this video to hear from other delegates who have taken the Trail Raiser Challenge.
Hi folks, Nima Rahimi here, 3-time delegate to the California Democratic Party, and I became a trail raiser because I fundamentally believe that as delegates to the state Democratic Party, it is our job to raise money for the party so that our party is not beholden to corporate interests, to special interests. If the money is coming from the people, then the party can stand for the people, can fight for the people. And that's why I became a trail raiser. And if you can do your part for the Democratic Party and raise small dollar donations, that's the best way for our party to do what it stands for.
Hello, fellow Democrats. This is Emilio Huerta, CDP delegate from California's 21st Congressional District here in the San Joaquin Valley. As many of you know, I am a lifelong Democrat and a longtime member of our party. I had the honor of being a 2021 Democratic Party trailblazer and have again pledged to raise desperately needed funds for our party's candidates in 2022. I am asking each of you to join me in becoming a 2022 trailblazer and help elect down ballot candidates and our future leaders. Gracias y sí se puede.
Hello, California Democrats. I joined the Trailraiser program because we need to significantly increase the level of small donor money into the party and reduce our reliance on large donors and corporations. We are California, and we must lead by example and show our support by continuing to provide financial contributions to our elected officials at the federal and state levels. Please join me in raising the small donor funds necessary to fight for issues like reproductive rights, economic justice, climate change, and protecting democracy. Nima Rahimi is so right. If the money comes from the people, then the party can stand for the people. Now, if you've never been involved in fundraising before, being a delegate may seem daunting. But here at ADEM, we have your back. As a trailraiser, delegates will receive a fantastic digital toolkit with contribution links, talking points, sample emails, and call scripts. And if you haven't met Camille, she will provide you with all the resources you need to make your job easier. Winning elections and enacting change is not free, but together through DEM 2022 and Trailraisers, we can fund our effort to mobilize supporters, educate our communities, and get out the vote.
All right. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you for all your work you do to help to raise the money to support the work. And thank you for being here tonight to help to educate our current and possible future delegates. So again, grassroots donations work. They matter. They help us to win, help us to keep going further. So while people are doing that, I want to get into some Q&A. But first, I want to really thank our speakers who joined us tonight. So let's thank Yvette and Deepa, Andrea, and Christopher for joining us tonight and sharing their insight. And I want to get to some of these questions. We're being joined by the ADEM Political Director, Ben Seinfeld, who helped to answer some questions. So I want to go through here. And a number of people have asked questions about financial aid or waivers. So the party does provide waivers for conventions. And those are on a case-by-case basis, but not to cover travel expenses or the expenses with involved with campaigning to be a delegate. But there are waivers for some of the costs to register. Ben, did I get that correct?
Folks are encouraged to find other ways of fundraising or whatnot to help with the costs of attending a convention or an in-person executive board when necessary. But the party does offer waivers for your delegate dues or convention fees.
And there was a question about, does ADEM have galas to fundraise with artists, musicians, and leaders at universities, for example? And I'll say we have a number of fundraising opportunities. Of course, during COVID, there have been fewer in-person fundraising efforts. But as we run up to a presidential election year, we would have to be preserving our control of the Senate and trying to regain the House, as well as win local and county races in the state. We will probably have more of those. Ben, there's a question about, I think you were perfect to answer, about the paper balloting. So the question exactly is, can you explain how the ballot works with the quote unquote pen? Last time people were mailed paper ballots. Are paper ballots not being used this time?
So we are still using paper ballots, but it's going to be a little different this time. Last time around, we had 80 different ballots, which, as you can imagine, creates a lot of printing challenges for us to make sure that each individual gets the correct ballot. This time, we are going to be using blank Scantron ballots. And when you put in your PIN, participant identification number, when you put in your PIN, the first 2 digits of your PIN is the assembly district that you are voting in. And then based off of how you bubble in your ballot, based off of the candidates running. So if, candidate Mary if you want to vote for Mary, who was the first person, and then Sophie, who was the third, and Joe, who was the fourth, you'd be bubbling in 1, 3, and 4. And so so that way we can count all the ballots together. And by using, again, your PIN, that lets us know what district those votes go for. And so whether you get a ballot in the mail or you go to an in-person location, you will be filling out the same exact ballot. One thing I will note is that folks we will not even be mailing out the ballots in the mail until around January 6th to ensure that we get the list, we get the mailing together, and it all goes out at once. Whereas the first in-person polling locations will be opening on the 7th and 8th. So if it's about voting as early as possible, it is actually recommended to vote in person as opposed to voting by mail.
Thank you. Thank you. It was crystal clear to me. There was another question about those who ran for office but lost. Are they automatic delegates to ADEM?
No. Obviously you have to run for ADEMs, and then you have to be one of the top 7 performing people in the self-identifying female for your district, or other than self-identifying female for the district. So it's a total of 14 delegates, 7 self-identifying female, 7 other than self-identifying female. And those 14 are the ADEM delegates for that assembly district. For all those who did not win, you are encouraged to then reach out to elected officials, candidates, or others to get appointed if you want to continue to be a delegate in the state party.
All right. And then there was a question about, and just to reiterate, the ADEM election is on January 7th and 8th, correct?
So there are 4 in-person dates. It is January 7th, Saturday, January 7th, Sunday, January 8th, Saturday, January 21st, Sunday, January 22nd. So there will be 4 dates for in-person voting. A location will be open for 1 day in one of those locations, and we will have a very friendly tool on our website, adem.cadem.org, where you will be able to see all the locations and even put in your address to see what is closest to you, but that has not gone live just yet.
And thank you. And then what is the date that the 30 days in advance candidate submissions is based? I'm sorry. What date is the 30 days in advance? Okay, wait. I'm trying to restate the question because I get what it's saying. So, what date are we using? Okay, I'm gonna read the way it is. What is the date that the 30 days in advance candidate submission is based on?
Well, the candidate submission is actually it's based off the first day of the meetings. So basically it is 30 days before the deadline to register as a candidate is 30 days before the first day of voting.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
And when
that is why it started on a Wednesday and ends on a Friday, because if it was Wednesday to Wednesday, that would be 28 days, but Wednesday to Friday is 30 days because you have those 2 extra days.
Will there be a way for voters to contact candidates, for candidates to contact those who register to vote at ADEMS?
So first, there is an option for voters where when they're registering, there's a checkbox they can check. And what it says is, I would like to make my information available to the candidates. So voters are given an opt-in option if they want to make their information available to candidates, so candidates can reach out directly to them. So we don't have, it's not an automatic, it is that we are basically, someone has to check the box saying, please make my information available. Now, to make your information available to, as a candidate, to make your information available to voters, I don't believe there's a rule that says that that you are prohibited from including that information in your candidate statement. If we will double check on that, but all candidates starting on December 12th and ending on December 19th will have 5 days to submit a candidate statement. We will then take those candidate statements and for each district create essentially a PDF of all the candidates with their candidate statements. So you'd be recommended to include your contact information in the candidate statement, similar to if you were a candidate for any other office and you include your contact information in the candidate statement.
Thank you, Ben. Another question. Can you request a mail-in ballot and then change your mind and vote in person?
Oh. Yes, you can.
That would like
once.
Yes, we can.
Yes, once you get your PIN, whether you vote with a ballot you received in the mail or a ballot in person, you can do that. I would prefer that folks not request a vote by mail ballot if they're not going to be voting, if they don't need it and they can go to an in-person location, because obviously there's an expense for the party in printing and mailing all of these ballots to folks.
When will candidate names begin to appear on the CADEM website?
Our hope is sometime between tomorrow and Friday. We are just fine-tuning the website to get it ready to go. So it should be up soon enough.
What are the reporting requirements, if any, for raising funds for travel expenses for ADEMs?
The state party has no rules around expenditures or anything like this. I would encourage folks to, if you are raising money or things like that, to check with, an appropriate entity, just because there would obviously be tax liabilities for people if you were accepting donations from people to do things. So I would encourage you to explore that before you just start kind of raising money. But in terms of expenditures, there are no rules from CADEM.
If I already registered as a candidate for ADEM but did not select the executive board option and now wish to run, how do I go about running?
All you'll want to do is just email adem@cadem.org, send them your PIN. So again, your PIN is a 10-digit code. It will be 2 digits, a dash, a single digit. It'll be, if you're a candidate, it'll be a 0, dash, and then 7 digits. You want to email that to adem@cadem.org and basically just say, can you please make me e-board eligible, or vice versa, can you please not make me e-board eligible. And so when you register, once you register, you do the payment, you make sure that you pay, and then when you get to there's a final page that says, like, congratulations, your PIN will be there. It will also be emailed to you. If you cannot find that email adem@cadem.org and with your information, and if we can match the email that you are sending from to a candidate email, we can provide you with your number again.
First off, see if we could let's show Ben some love for his ability to answer all his questions. He's such a superstar. We're lucky to have him part of the team, and he's a great dad with a very cute little baby. And maybe she'll make a special appearance at some point. Who knows? So there was a question about, will there be a separate space to vote for executive board members like we used to have?
So that used to make the voting a lot more complicated, where you would have one space for voters, another for executive board. So what we did is, folks, when they register, they'll say that they want to be executive board eligible. And then of all the candidates that are eligible for the executive board, whomever is the top receiving vote getter, that individual will become the executive board member, assuming that that person is also in the top 7 for the self-identifying female or other than self-identifying female categories. So there's not a separate vote. You vote in one place, but we are able to take the information to see who is the top receiving vote getter for executive board position.
Another question, can you explain, or is there a difference between a delegate who was voted in or an appointed delegate?
The only difference is how you got onto the state central committee and what your delegate identification number may be. Beyond that, whether you are an ADEM from a county central committee, an elected official, a Democrat who's the top vote getter in a race who didn't win, or an appointee, you are all a delegate. There's no difference.
This is a question from someone who should know the answer to this question. If I register and later decide to withdraw, can my name be removed from the ballot? Can I get a refund?
Yes, your name can be removed. Yes, I believe you can be. I'm sure you can be refunded. I would need confirmation on that, but I don't believe we have it's not like our endorsement process where we do not do refunds. But all you need to do again is just email adem@cadem.org, but you do need to notify us by December 9th, I believe at 5 o'clock, or it might be 6 o'clock. I'd have to check the form, but you have to let us know by then, because once that time has passed, it's locked. We are holding the list, because at that point, we also need to start making sure that folks know who are the eligible candidates. So we can't just continually be changing the list after the deadline.
All right. And so I just wanted, I know we said it in the training and you kind of said it again, but can you just say, like, in like the simplest way possible, how are executive board members chosen?
Of all the eligible candidates who run for ADEMs, either as a self-identifying female or an other than self-identifying female, for the 14 spots, it's the top 7 vote getters from self-identifying females and the top 7 vote getters from other than self-identifying females. So those are 2 categories. The third category is executive board eligible, and whomever made themselves eligible for the executive board from everyone who is the top vote getter would be the executive board member. Now, in almost in 79 out of 80 cases, or actually it was 80 out of 80 cases last year, the top vote getter for the executive board eligible was also one of the people who won. It is just that in the situation that of the 7 self-identifying females and the 7 other than self-identifying females who came in first, or were the top 7, if none of them were executive board eligible, then whomever would have been the executive board winner, because they didn't win the main race, they're not then an ADEM member. So you have to be one of the top 7 in self-identifying female or other than self-identifying female, and the top executive board person to then be the executive board member.
All right, and sorry, I'm gonna answer some questions here too. 1 second here. When can we expect the PIN number to arrive? And yes, when can we expect the PIN number to arrive?
Moments after completing the registration process.
And
But I wanna urge folks, when you get the registration page, first you put in your information, it verifies that it can find you. Then it takes you to the payment page where you can pay by credit card then, or if let's say you prefer to mail a check, you click pay later. And then at that point, you're acknowledging that if you do not have your payment handled by December 9th at 5 o'clock, your name will be removed if you don't have it finalized in time. Then after that, you will get the email and your PIN number. But you effectively have to acknowledge that if you're paying now, then you'll go straight to it. If you choose pay later, you're acknowledging that if you don't pay in time, you will not be eligible as a candidate.
So there's another question that goes back to the e-board. If you run for e-board and let's say you get second place, would you still be eligible to be an ADEM delegate, or would you be disqualified because you wanted to run as an executive board member?
So to be eligible, so in the past, you could run for the executive board position without actually running to be an ADEM. That was changed. To run for executive board, you have to simultaneously be running for ADEM. And then if you are first in the executive board and you are an ADEM position and you say, I don't want to be the ADEM position, not only would you be forfeiting the ADEM position, you'd also be forfeiting the executive board position. So that's the first part. Now, I believe someone said, and maybe I'm mixing up the questions because we've answered a couple times. If you are second in the executive board vote, then, and as long as you are still in the top 7 in either category, then you are an ADEM. It's just you will not be the e-board rep for the ADEM delegation.
Okay. Someone says they have paid but have not received a PIN. I'm just going to tell that person you should email adem@cadem.org, adem@cadem.org. Someone else said the form re-registered didn't ask for money. Is this a 2-step process?
The form did not. Yeah, so you first put in your information, then it takes you to a page where you can choose to pay by credit card or pay later. If you close the browser at that point and don't continue, you're still we still registered you. You still have a PIN, but it wouldn't have actually sent it to you because you have to finish the process. At this point, someone from our team we're going to be emailing regularly anyone who has not paid yet with a way to pay, to give folks as many notices as possible that you need to pay to be eligible as a candidate. But that is something that will happen, is you do need to finish the process.
And just so you know, so we have about 15 minutes for more questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A section, not in the chat. Please put your questions in the Q&A because I cannot keep track of those questions to be able to ask them in the queue. And also we're answering questions in the Q&A as well as the ones that are being answered over the program. So how do candidates get their undocumented DEM supporters to verify their voting eligibility, both in person and vote by mail, to get their PIN?
Um, how do undocumented candidates?
No, no, no.
So
No, no. How do candidates get their undocumented Democratic supporters to verify their voting eligibility, both in person and vote by mail, to get their pin?
okay, so for this year's ADEM election, the only change that was made was to allow people who are currently undocumented to be eligible as candidates. It was not, but folks decided to hold for now on making it open to those who are undocumented to also be a participant in the process. So at this time, you're only eligible to be a candidate, not a participant. So if you are a candidate, you would still not actually be eligible to vote, but you're eligible to be a candidate.
And are there written details on how to request a vote by mail ballot?
When you are registering, there is a checkbox that says, would you like to receive your ballot in the mail? And you just have to check it.
And so, where to go? Someone who was an appointed delegate can no longer run to be an ADEM e-board rep. Is that correct?
You cannot run to be an e-board rep just for the e-board rep. You would effectively be running for e-board rep and ADEM at the same time.
All right. And I've gotten a few questions about slates, and that's not really what we're talking about here. But is there anything you feel that is appropriate for us to say about slates?
The party has no official position on slates. Slates are up to each individual or group of people to make a determination on their own.
All right. If you're on a central committee, can you run for ADEM?
Anyone can run. It's just a matter of, if you win, you now are in a position where you can either leave your spot as a central committee rep to the state party and choose to then be an ADEM to the state party. So it's really just whatever you prefer. I know a lot of folks will work to get appointed, and once they have their appointment, they'll run for ADEMs. So if they win the ADEMs, they'll remain an ADEM, so that way they are a delegate on their own, as opposed to being, at the discretion of someone else. And then also by doing that, you're freeing up a spot for someone else that can be appointed as well. And the same would be, and that would be the same for central committee.
When will we know the in-person election location and open times, and when are the candidate statements due?
We are, as soon as we can get all the locations compiled, we are working with the regional directors and conveners right now to put it together. As soon as that has all been figured out, it will be on the ADEM website. And excuse me. And we will be, emailing folks, look up your closest location and all of that. So that will be on the website. And then what was the second question, Vincent?
When are candidate statements due?
If I'm not mistaken, they are due Friday, December 19th at noon.
Oh, I love how you have all these dates in your head, Ben. You're better than Google. Will there be video statements that voters can watch?
So last cycle, we allowed video statements, but it took an exorbitant amount of staff time to review all the video statements. So this year, we will not be allowing video statements in the candidate statement or links to other websites. It is just going to be, I believe, a 2,400 character statement.
And someone asked, what was that in words? We can't determine that because they depend on how big words. I mean, how big the words how big are the words that you use? But it's 2,400 characters, correct?
It's 2,400 characters. Someone told me that they believe it's about 500 words.
Oh, look at that. Okay. And okay, let's scroll down here, make sure I didn't miss anything. People are asking some questions that we've covered in this training, and that people, so about the, if like, how can I register for ADEMs? adem.cadem.org, adem.cadem.org. There is a question about how can I register if my voter information was not found on the CADEM website.
So if you go to this is for when you're registering as a voter, not a candidate. If you're registering as a voter and you go to the system, you put your information in, and you are, and this is for vote by mail. For a vote by mail ballot, your information must be in PDI. We will not send a ballot to someone who we cannot verify in PDI. So that's the first thing. For if you were going to vote in person, when you go to register, if you're found in PDI, it will proceed and it will give you your PIN. If we cannot find you, you will be given a prompt of either you can, one, resubmit your information. Maybe you put a period where you shouldn't have, or whatever it is. You spelled street and you should have just put ST, whatever it may be. You can go back and redo it, or you can proceed with the information as submitted, but you will be required to submit proof of registration from the Secretary of State. And there will be a link and a very clear explanation. You go to the I believe it's mysos.ca.gov or my vote and my voter, and you put in your information. It will give you effectively a screenshot saying, here's your name, where you're registered. You are a Democrat. You will screenshot it, and there will be a portal for you to submit that directly into the system. It's not something you email to us. It's something you submit into the portal. And then we will be having people going through reviewing the submission, basically the information, to ensure that the information you provided matches the information that the Secretary of State provided.
Ben, or I'll answer this question. What is the difference between self-identified female and other than, actually you can answer this question, or other than female?
So it is, are you self-identifying as a female, or do you self-identify as something other than a female? And I will leave it to folks to decide how they identify.
And is there a minimum age limit for assembly district delegates?
You must be 18.
And can you briefly explain the process for candidates who are undocumented to show their eligibility?
So, to be eligible to either participate or as a candidate or a voter in the ADEMs, you must be a registered Democrat. The portion for undocumented is you're basically attesting that if you were eligible to register, that you would be a registered Democrat. That's what it basically is saying. So when you're self-attesting, really it is, one, you are 18 years of age or older, and two, you are saying, if I was able to register, I would be a Democrat. And here is a registered Democrat in California who is effectively vouching for me that I would do this. And so that's really the check, is you just need to have another registered Democrat vouching for you.
All right. And then, is there a public history of ADEM election results from past elections?
I think we have the information, but it's I don't know if it's something that we have posted. It may be in past like press releases or something, but I don't know that we've got it up and about.
Okay. Are organizations such as labor unions allowed to spend money on their own to help you with your elections?
Again, there are no campaign finance rules instituted by the state party for ADEM elections. So there's, just I would say just make sure you are compliant with all federal and state laws.
I've been
All
told that
relevant federal and state laws.
hold on here. This will be the last few questions. The recording will be available in the next by the end of the week, if not sooner. So answer that. What the candidate statement, they have until December 9th to submit that. Is that correct?
The deadline to register as a candidate is December 9th at noon. The deadline to register as a the deadline to submit your candidate statement, and now I'm nervous that I gave the wrong date originally, so let me just confirm. The deadline to submit your candidate statement is December 19th. So you get 1 full week to submit your candidate statement. It opens December 12th at noon. It closes December 19th at noon.
Okay, but they weren't supposed to, they weren't prompted to submit one when they registered and paid.
Correct. We very purposefully, instead of trying to do everything at once, compartmentalized multiple things. First you register, the registration ends, then you do your candidate statement ends, then we'll compile the candidate statements, then we'll post them. So that's really the process. And so we will not post any candidate statements until we have collected all the candidate statements, reviewed all the candidate statements, compiled them, and then they will be posted.
And then can you just reconfirm, is the character limit 2,400 characters or 1,200 characters?
My understanding is it's 2,400, but when we send out the email that with the form, whatever number is in there is the number, but I understand it to be 2,400 characters.
All right, so apologies.
But in case I'm mistaken, please don't go off of what I'm saying, go off of what is on the form.
So apologies to everyone. We had the wrong character limit in the earlier in the information, but it is 2,400 or whatever is in the form. So we'll probably have time for 2 more questions, and I want to make sure we're clear on the for undocumented Democratic candidates. Another question: does the other registered Democrat vouching for an undocumented self-identified Dem candidate need to sign a form to verify their candidacy since they won't show up in PDI?
Yes. Basically the person vouching for provides their information, and then we will check them in PDI.
Okay, and so I'm gonna just click here. This will be a last question. Can people purchase a list of ADEM names, email they want to run to contact them?
Like the voters?
Mm-hmm.
It's at once as a registered candidate, we will make it available to you.
For purchase or for free?
We're basically saying that when you do your candidate filing fee, that is you effectively getting access.
All right. So again, people don't know, but Ben wasn't supposed to be here for this, but he came in at the last minute to answer all of these questions, but he's been putting in a lot of work with our operations team to design this process. So please give him an extreme amount of thanks for jumping on at the last minute and answering all of your questions very ably. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. I just want to thank you all for joining us this evening, for your great questions. I want to thank Oliver, thank Yvette and Christopher, Deepa and Andrea and Ben for being a part of this training. Hope you found it useful. And that's it for now. So have a wonderful evening, and let's keep the blue wave going into the next cycle. Bye for now. If you have more questions, email adem@cadem.org. adem@cadem.org. Bye for now.